What if today isn't just another random day, but this day today is a gift straight from God's hand to you? Think about it. What are you going to do with it? Instead of merely going through the motions, imagine that today was made especially just for you. Hi, I'm Arnie Cole, spiritual fitness researcher and coach, and welcome to Spiritually Fit Today. And never forget, what you do today matters. So this week's verse that we're going to memorize, and I love this first one because it's easy. When you get older, it's harder to remember, and this one's also my favorite verse. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118:24. Stop for a minute and think about it. How are you feeling right now? Are you a bit anxious, or do you feel joyful, or perhaps hopeful and ready? Whatever the mood is, God handcrafted this very day for you. So let's make the most of it. So I have with me today Braden Pedersen. Welcome to the podcast. And I've asked him to share a personal experience that he had when he was co-pastoring a church. His mentor, a person he looked up to, the person that was training him, suddenly passed away.
Yeah.
And here, not only it pushed into the senior pastor position, but you're supposed to be joyful, give renewal to. How did you do it? Talk about that time in your life, because most of us struggle with some things that actually stop us dead in our tracks each and every day. What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, the verse that you shared that we're memorizing this week, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. What that tells me is I have a choice whether or not I want to rejoice, and sometimes it's very difficult to. And that's exactly what happened when we sustained that loss. So I had a guy, his name was Danny. He hired me right out of school.
Nice.
When I had no experience, qualifications. I was just a kid who wanted to do ministry and had a heart for Jesus. And I was pretty good with a microphone, and that was about it.
And he obviously believed in you.
Yeah, he believed in me more than I believed in myself. And he really kind of became like a second father to me, more than just my pastor, my mentor, also my boss when he hired me. He became like a second dad, somebody that I could call on a personal level and just ask advice to or from and ask questions to. And, we developed this great relationship over, the 6 years that I worked for him. And then I was on vacation. It was around Memorial Day, 2021. And I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We were actually getting ready to drive back. I was sitting in the hotel lobby, and I got a call from one of my coworkers and said, "Hey, I know you're off for a couple more days, but if you could come up back to Kansas City where we were pastoring, Danny just got taken to the hospital. I don't have any more information, but if you could just come back up a little early, I think the staff would appreciate that." We had a very young staff. I was young as well.
You're
but
pretty
I was
young, no offense.
I was more senior on the staff, right? And so she said, "Hey, could you just come up and help us through this?
Sure.
I don't know what's going on." And got in the car, grabbed a couple family members, said, "Hey, we're going to go back a little early." Started driving back. It's about a 6-hour drive. 20 minutes into the drive, get a call from that same pastor and said, he passed away.
No way.
He's 41 years old, had a heart attack, and was a widowmaker, so he was gone before he hit the floor. And so, I mean, the emotion that you feel when you hear something like that, right?
Yeah.
This was somebody that I almost projected a parental relationship on, and loved and cared deeply about this person. And he had a family and 3 kids under 10 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And this church of a few thousand people that he had founded, he had started this campus just a couple of years previously. It was a nightmare, to say the least. So many emotions flood through your head, and I've now got 5.5 hours to sit in the car driving back to this church. Now I'm going to walk in and see this group of pastors and volunteers, and then this weekend, a few thousand people that are going to show up not knowing what's going to happen next. And in that moment, I was mad. More mad than sad, to be completely honest.
Were you mad at Danny?
Yeah, I was mad. Are you mad
at Danny for leaving you?
at just about everything that you could be mad at? I was mad at, right? And so I'll be honest, the principle in this verse, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. the thought that I had was, what is there to be glad about in this situation? And even as we moved through those next, honestly, the next 2 years were very, very difficult. Leading the church back from just a point of heartbreak. When you lose your founding pastor, it's not something that you can just solve overnight, right? There's a lot of healing to be done. A lot of people left the church. A lot of people left the church just because they felt like, I'm still so heartbroken that I can't bear to come in and see an empty stage or see somebody else standing where he stood. And so it was very difficult a couple of years. And every single day I had dreamed of being a pastor. I dreamed of doing full-time ministry, but every day felt like a war. It just felt like a war to walk into work every day. And I've told multiple people over the years, there were days where I just didn't want to be a pastor anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. I did not like coming to work. It was very difficult. I had to really decide, more for the church's sake than my own. All right, God, until you take me out of this, until I get a pink slip, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give my best every single day. And grudgingly, I'm going to be joyful about it, because that is the only way that we're going to move through this.
Well, you don't get credit if you're grumpy.
Exactly right.
I mean, get the verse.
And so, I mean, I truly saw in action. It took probably a year for me to really kind of hit my stride and understand, okay, my attitude and how I go about my day, especially in the leadership capacity, affects everything around me. It affects the quality of work I do. It affects how I love people, pastor people, care for people. It affects how I lead my team. It affects everything that I do. But if I wake up and I don't choose to find joy in the things that God has called me to do, even if they're hard, then it's going to affect everything in a negative way. So I had to learn to live this out every single day. And I was really excited because over those, couple of years of just kind of slogging it out and trying to figure out what do we do now, the church actually grew past where it was prior to him tragically passing away, not just in attendance, but also in spiritual depth and health. What was a very difficult situation actually became a springboard to a new season of ministry where we saw more people building relationships in community, more people who had never heard of Jesus before, never been in a church or hadn't been to church in 20, 30, 40 years, walking in the doors of the church for the first time. And I couldn't have imagined what God was going to do through it.
That's amazing. And I believe, if I recall correctly, when he passed away, the church went into a psychological tailspin where people basically up and left.
Right.
And you're there and it's like, wow, they're leaving because of me. I mean, how do you show a joyful spirit when your world is, in your mind, crumbling right in front of you?
Very, very difficult, right? A very, very difficult situation. It was hard not to take that personally, right? It's so hard not to take that personally. But what I recognized was people they weren't leaving because of myself or anybody else that was leading the church at that time. They were leaving because they were hurt. Right. They had lost somebody that they loved and cared about and looked up to as a mentor, as a pastor. And so, but walking through that season, it wasn't easy because, there were people that I'd grown accustomed to seeing, if not every week, just about every day throughout the activities of the church and the programs that we had, that I just didn't see anymore. Right. That, I could pick up the phone and call them, but I didn't. It's one thing to talk to somebody over the phone or see them on Facebook, wish them a happy birthday every year, but to not see them walk through the doors of the church, that really hurt. It not only my heart as a friend, but as a pastor, to see people actually walk away from the church for a period of time. Every single day, like I said before, when I would wake up and I'd walk in, especially on Sundays, because that's where you would feel it the most, right? When you see the big empty row of where people used to be, right? It was very easy to get discouraged and get down. But I think to find the empty row in the back, we'd have to look past the full row in the front of somebody new who had no idea who Danny was, who had no idea about any of the things that the church experienced. They were just coming in off the street to fill a void that the world couldn't fill. And if I spent so much time looking at the negative in that situation, I'd miss the positive, which is we have people coming in for the very first time that, quite frankly, not no issue. They just don't care about what's happened in the past because they're searching for Jesus. And I cannot sacrifice the spiritual growth of somebody who is far from God for my own personal feelings of discomfort or disappointment at what we might have been. And as a result of that, we just made a decision as a staff of like, okay, we're either all in or all out. And if we're all in, we're going to give this everything we have. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do, right? We can give God everything that we have, and we have to trust him to work through that.
That's awesome. I'm going to have you back because I've got another question. Hopefully I can trick them on this one. So we'll have you back soon. And today for our spa treatment, remember Soul Pump assignment, for the personal reflection or gratitude, I want us to start a journal and write down one reason you're thankful to God for this day that he handcrafted for you. It would be great to try to do this each and every day. And we're going to try to figure out a way to weave this into the workbooks that we have, but an attitude of gratitude. But if you look at today as a gift, and remember that song, Live As If You Were Dying? I mean, there's a lot to that. I mean, this may be the last day. I mean, Danny may not have known this was, he wasn't sick. He was fine. He had everything and boom. So each and every day is a gift. And maybe if we start out with, especially those of us who are a little older than Braden, who tend to get grumpy because of the arthritis or whatever, maybe if we start out with an attitude of gratitude, maybe that would help. That's part of it. The second part of the spa treatment is reveal to someone else. So take someone who's kind of like an accountability partner that knows you pretty well and text them and say, I'm going to choose joy today. Would you help me and remind me that I need to be joyful each and every day? Give me some of that feedback that I need, because the odds are you may not even realize how grumpy you are. And then the third part of the spa treatment is prayer. Ask that person that you texted, how you can pray for them to be joyful, because it's not just about you and your attitude, but it's also about helping them be joyful. Our quiz question that we try to close every podcast with is, now there's another verse in the Bible that goes great with this verse. And my question is to you, do you know where it's found? Here's the verse. Encourage one another daily as long as it's called today. Think you know? Let us know in the comments or email me at arniec@bttb.org, because this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. So before you rush back into your day, pause for a moment. Give yourself a pat on the back. You've done another spiritual rep, and it really mattered. Whether you prayed, encouraged a friend, or did all of that, and as important, you opened God's Word. It's a small act shaping your soul for eternity. So remember, what you do today matters. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.